Hey, thanks for watching my video. Today we're going to replace the front tire on a 2009 Ducati Monster 1100. This video is pretty much for my usage. This is how I'm documenting the service and maintenance of this particular 2009 Monster. This is my personal bike that I ride all the time. Yes, I know the tires do look good. But sometimes tires do have tread and they handle poorly, and I have gotten the most use that I am comfortable riding on these tires. I can see the wear bars, um, so I just thought it was time for me to replace this. Uh, these tires I got just at 2,200 miles on these tires, and I'm happy with 2,200 miles. These are Dunlop Road Sport 2s. Typically, I was running the Bridgestone S22s, and I was only getting about 1,200 miles out of the S22s. And I saw these on Rocky Mountain ATV and motorcycle, and I decided I'd give them a try. Just over 200 bucks for the set of tires. It's a pretty good deal, and they are great tires. Let me just tell you, they are great tires, and if I get 1,000 miles more out of them, I'm really happy with that. So right now you see me loosening the pinch bolts. I've already loosened the axle nut, and we're doing the pinch bolts now. And again, if you're watching this, this video is more for just my knowledge, and if I ever go to sell the bike, I can prove that the maintenance has been done. If you want a full-blown video of the M1100 tire removal, I think I have two on this channel. I should have a video where I'm doing a dark Monster 1100, and I have a full video where I'm doing this Monster 1100. So, popping up the bike on the front stand. Anytime you use a front stand, make sure that the back of the bike is up in the air. So you see that I have a pit bull swing arm stand on the rear, and then I just popped up the front. So we just loosen the caliper bolts to remove them. And again, you see that there's quite a bit of tread on here. But in the fall when I took this bike out for a ride, I was going down the highway, pretty good pace through the twisties, and the bike just didn't feel right. It just didn't. It wasn't handling the way it should. It wasn't falling into the turns the way I like the bike to lean over. So I was thinking in the fall I needed to replace the tires. Well, all winter I looked at the bike and I'm like, man, there's plenty of tread on these tires. They got great mileage out of them. And then about a month ago, it warmed up enough for me to take this bike out and started riding it, and the bike just didn't feel right. It just was not cornering the way it should. And when I put the tires side by side, you could see that, especially the front tire had gotten more triangulated from spending too much time on the side than on the center. And then the rear tire was on the edges. The edges were pretty much worn down, and again with plenty of tread in the center of the tire. And I know most of you aren't fortunate enough to live in an area where there's just non-stop twisties, but that's the terrible riding conditions that I have to deal with. Not many four-lane highways here where I live, so I'm stuck taking curvy roads everywhere I go. So here's a little trick when you're removing the front axle. If you have a Craftsman #2 Phillips screwdriver, not one of the new Chinese ones, but one of the older USA made ones, it fits perfectly inside the fork. And then once you pound it through, go to the other side, there's a hole in the axle where that screwdriver will fit in, and it'll allow you to pull that axle out. So that's a little tip that's going to help you out there. So now the wheel's off the bike, you're going to pull the right spacer out, set it on the ground on the right side of the bike. You'll flip over to the left side, pull the left side spacer out of the wheel, throw it on the ground, and then we're ready to put the wheel back on. So always take a clean rag and wipe all the grease residue out of the that seal, that rubber seal, and clean your spacer off really well. So both spacers and both seals are cleaned up at this point. And now I'm going to take Lubrimatic marine grease. So I'm taking just a little dab, and I'm going to put a dab of Lubrimatic marine grease, and I'm trying to get it in that little concave area of the seal. So if you look at your seal, it looks like a little V in there, or a little trench. So I try to put the grease in there, and then we put the spacer in. And it's really not, you're not lubricating anything. What you're doing is helping your wheel to stay sealed. So if you're riding out in the rain, this Lubrimatic grease is going to keep the water and moisture out from the inside of the wheel and protect those bearings a little bit better. Yes, you do have sealed bearings, but the better you protect the inside of the wheel, the better off you are and more longevity you'll have with your motorcycle. So I did put a light coat of grease on the axle. The reason for putting the grease on the axle is not for lubrication, because the wheel does not spin on the axle. The wheel spins on the bearing, but it is to protect the axle and allow it to slide out easy next time. So you always want to put a light coat of grease on that axle. Then we're going to put our axle nut on. We're not going to torque it down just yet. And then we go to our calipers, and always check your brake pads when you're doing this job. You know, most of us on a Ducati don't really use the brakes for stopping. We let the engine braking do all the braking. But it's a good idea to inspect your pads while you have the bike apart. And then just put your caliper bolts back in, get them snugged up. And at this point, we're going off. We're not going to be doing exactly the way the manual says. So we're actually going to torque our caliper bolts down first. This is a better method than what your manual tells you to do it. And if you're a BMW rider, just shut up. The BMW manual isn't any better than any other manual. But if you put your calipers on and torque them down, remember the axle is just in there loosely. The axle and the axle nut is just on finger tight. So the axle's loose, the pinch bolts are loose. And all we've done so far is put our caliper bolts in and tighten them down. And this is going to be the best way, the easiest way to align your front end. If you don't believe me, do it your own way. But I'm telling you, this is the easiest way to do it. So we've got our calipers torqued down. You just heard the clicks of the torque wrench. Some people ask me what kind of torque wrench I use. I only have snap-on torque wrenches. So somewhere I missed a step, but right now I'm lining up the axle. The step I missed in the video is once your calipers are torque down, spin the front wheel and grab the brakes, spin the front wheel, grab the brakes, spin the front wheel, grab the brakes, and then line up your axle and tighten down the pinch bolts on the right side of the bike. So that's usually not the way your manual tells you to do it, but that is the easiest way, because the centrifugal force of that front wheel spinning and then the brakes grabbing a hold of the calipers will make everything fall into place. Your forks, your axle, everything will just fall right into place and line right up, and then you can start tightening down your pinch bolts and your axle. I'm tightening down the pinch bolts on the right hand side because that's going to hold the axle in place so I can torque the axle nut. I do torque down the pinch bolts. Each one gets torqued down 3 times. So I'll go from the outside till it clicks, to the inside till it clicks, to the outside till it clicks, to the inside till it clicks, to the outside till it clicks, to the inside till it clicks. So 6 times, and then you know that you have a good torque, and you know that one of your pinch bolts isn't tighter than the other. So jumping back to the left side, we put our torque wrench on our axle nut, we torque it down, and then we go ahead and we tighten up our pinch bolts for the left hand side. Again, I just turn it till it clicks and go to the other one, turn it till it clicks, go to the other one, turn it till it clicks, go to the other one, turn it till it clicks, go to the other one, turn it till it clicks, blah blah blah. But that's how easy it is. If you haven't tried these Dunlop Road Sport 2s, I'm going to say for this bike, the set of tires was right around $200. I don't think it was more than $210 for the set. I don't have to pay any installation fees because I do have my own tools. If you're ever in the Murphy, North Carolina area, look me up. I can hook you up with tires. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it helps you out, and enjoy that monster.